Hello students. So in the previous class we were talking about the air, and air is what? It is a mixture of gases. Okay, so what are the different types of gases present in the air or in the atmosphere, student? So we study about the composition of the air. So in the composition of air, student, we discussed that it consisting of nitrogen, it consisting of oxygen, as well as it consisting of the other gases also. Their percentage varies, students. Here nitrogen is 78%, oxygen is 21%, other gases is 1%. Okay, so their percentage may vary, but all this type of gases are present in the atmosphere. So in that, student, yesterday we discussed about that of the nitrogen. Okay. So in the previous class we discussed about that of the nitrogen, student, and the nitrogen we discussed that what are the different properties of the nitrogen. So the first property that we discussed of the nitrogen, that is nitrogen is a colorless, odorless, tasteless gas. It is lightly soluble in water, it is an unreactive gas, it does not support burning or it does not burn itself. As well as we do not breathe, there is no role of breathing in breathing of nitrogen. And last one, that all the living organisms, they take nitrogen for their growth. How? Because the plants, they take the nitrogen from the atmosphere and convert it into protein or help in making proteins. And this protein is consumed by the living organism for their proper growth and maintenance of the body. So basically the use of the nitrogen in the growth. Later on we started with that of the oxygen, students. So in case of the oxygen, we discussed that what are the different properties of oxygen. So the first property of the oxygen, that it is again the same thing, student, colorless, it is tasteless, as well as it is odorless gas. Odorless gas. Okay. Second one that we have studied in the oxygen, student, that it dissolves in water. Okay, so it properly dissolves, or we can say that it is soluble in water. The third thing that we have discussed, that it helps in breathing. Okay, breathing, as well as all the living organisms they use to respire. So it also helps in the respiration. Then the fourth thing that we have discussed, students, that is it helps in burning. Okay, so all these things are what? These are the properties of the oxygen, student. So, if you see, student, out of these properties, the very much essential or very much important property of the oxygen is the breathing or respiration. You know that what will happen if there is no oxygen in this on this planet, student? So there will be no living organism also, because we all are dependent on the oxygen. How? You will say that for the process of the breathing, we used to take oxygen and remove carbon dioxide, exhale carbon dioxide. So we can say that breathing, the process of the breathing also involves the oxygen. But the major role which is played by that of the oxygen is in the process of respiration. So whether it is a plant or it is an animal, both of them do this process of respiration. Basically what happens in the process of respiration, students? Plants or that of the animals, they take the oxygen, okay, and this oxygen, it breaks the food. Okay, so the food that we use to consume oxygen, it helps in the breakdown of the food, and this breakdown of the food, what will happen after that, student? There is a formation of water, there is a formation of that of the carbon dioxide, as well as very important thing, and that is energy. Okay, so we can say that oxygen in the process of respiration, what happened? Breakdown. breakdown of oxygen helps in the formation of carbon dioxide, then water and energy. Okay, so breakdown of the oxygen with the help of a food, it helps in the formation of carbon dioxide, water and energy, student. So oxygen, it reacts with that of the food which is present in our body and gives this product. It means water, carbon dioxide and energy. So the most important role of the oxygen is the breakdown of the food, and what is the result of this breakdown, student, is the energy. You see, students, why do we eat food? We used to eat food to get energy. And how do we get energy, students? It is because of the oxygen that we inhale. This oxygen help in breaking the food that we had consumed, and this breakdown it means breaking it into smaller one. Okay, so the breakdown of this food into the smaller one, or we can say it help in converting the food, this oxygen help in getting the energy from that of the food. Okay, so oxygen is responsible for the process of respiration, in which process there is release of the energy. And you know that the energy is very important to carry the different metabolic activities in that of the living organisms. Okay, so energy plays a very important role, and this energy we get from the process of respiration. Process of respiration totally depend upon the oxygen, because without oxygen, process of respiration cannot be taken place. Now the question arises, whether this process of respiration occur in the animals only, student? No. You know that very well that not only the animals but plants also show the process of respiration. Okay, so animal, plants, both of them, they show the process of respiration. So oxygen is not only required for the animal, but it is the plant also who need oxygen for the process of respiration. Now if we talk about, student, what happened in the aquatic plant, how the aquatic plants they need or they get the energy. So you see, student, oxygen, due to its property, which property? Of being soluble in water or get dissolved in water. So we can write it, oxygen, due to its property of being soluble or gets dissolved in water, due to this property, oxygen present in the water itself. Oxygen remains in water or does remain dissolved in water. Thus, what happens to it? Due to this property of getting dissolved in water, it helps the living organism which is present inside the water. So we can write it as thus the aquatic plants, not only aquatic plant but and animals, they take the oxygen, they respire they take the oxygen from the water itself. So we can say that aquatic plants and animals takes oxygen from the water. Okay, and thus the process of respiration can be carried out easily by the aquatic plants and animals. So you see here, student, that since this oxygen it dissolves in the water, thus we can say that they use the oxygen they use the dissolved oxygen from the water itself, and finally they carry the process of respiration further. So process of respiration, it is shown by that of the plants and animals living on the land, as well as the plants and the animals who are living in the water itself. Both of them need oxygen and they take oxygen. Those who are living on the land, those who are show the terrestrial habitat, they take oxygen from the atmosphere, and those who live or those shows the aquatic habitat, they take the dissolved oxygen from the water itself and carry the process of respiration. So by this, student, we can say that oxygen is important for the process of respiration. Now we will see that sometimes it happens that although the amount of oxygen is present in the atmosphere, it is 1/5, but in some of the cases, student, the need of the oxygen is much more than expected. And in such kind of a case, more oxygen is needed, and for getting the more oxygen, people they use the oxygen cylinder. So now we will talk that what are the different situations in which the person uses the oxygen cylinder, students. So what are the different situations or what are the special cases, student, in which an organism or person have to use the oxygen cylinder even though it is present in the atmosphere? So the first special condition is, student, a patient who is having the breathing problem. So we can write it. Person having breathing problem. Then second one is a mountaineer who is climbing to a higher altitude or to a mountain. So a mountaineer. And the third one is for a diver who is diving deep under the sea. Okay, so diver. So these are the different special cases or three such special cases in which the people they have to use the oxygen cylinder. Okay, so if you see here, student, in the first case, a person having a breathing problem, in that case, student, now if a patient is there or a person is there who is having a disease of asthma. So if he is having asthma, then you know that the requirement of the oxygen which is present in the atmosphere, which is about 1/5 of the atmosphere, is not sufficient for him. Not only the student, if you see the patient who used to undergo with a major operation, they also face problem in breathing, or they also not able to breathe properly. Okay, so in such cases, doctors they use the oxygen cylinder first for the patient. Okay, so to meet the requirement of the extra oxygen which is needed by the person, oxygen cylinder has been used by the doctor for patient. Okay, so we can say that in the first case, what are the different conditions, students? The first one, person having asthma. Okay, so if he or she is having the disease asthma, then you know that it is what? It is a kind of a breathing problem due to which a person is not able to breathe properly. So in such case, or if a person undergo a major operation, so in that case also that patient need a sufficient amount of oxygen because he or she is not able to breathe properly. So in both the cases, student, oxygen cylinder has been used up. So this is the first special case in which the oxygen cylinder has been used up by that of the doctors. Now if we see the second one, students. So the second one is mountaineers. So what happened for the mountaineer students? So you know that higher altitude, if a person is going to a higher altitude, especially for the mountaineers, they used to climb to mountain. So as the mountaineer goes to higher altitude, you know that what happened there? The level of the oxygen, the level of the air will get decreases with the altitude, and thus due to lack of oxygen, lack of proper oxygen in the at the higher altitude or at the mountain, mountaineer need of oxygen cylinder. Okay, so as the mountaineer used to move to a higher altitude, student, what happened? The level of the oxygen is very less, or we can say the amount of the oxygen at the higher altitude in the atmosphere is very less. Thus, the mountaineer it need a proper amount of oxygen for the survival. Okay. Then the last one is the diver. So here we are talking about that when the mountaineer goes to a higher altitude, at that time we face this problem. Okay, but the third one is that not only this, that when we go to a higher altitude, but when a diver it jumps to that of a deep or to the depth of the sea, there also the oxygen, the amount of oxygen is comparatively low. Okay, so although the oxygen is present in the water also, students, we know that oxygen get dissolved in the water, or it remains soluble in the water, remain dissolved form of oxygen is there in the water. But the diver or that much amount of oxygen is not sufficient for them, as well as you know that we don't have that respiratory organ by which we can take the dissolved oxygen from the water. Okay, so we can take the oxygen from the atmosphere only. So for this purpose only, students, the third case in which the diver going deep in sea, going in deep sea. Okay, so in such case, student, what happened? As it goes to the depth of the sea, depth of sea having less amount of oxygen. Okay, so depth of the sea is having a less amount of oxygen, student, and thus we can say that the oxygen diver, because the amount of oxygen is less, so diver needs a oxygen cylinder for respiration or for breathing, students. Okay, we know that the dissolved oxygen is not sufficient, as well as the diver it cannot use the dissolved oxygen from water. Okay, so we can say dissolve oxygen cannot be used by diver. Okay students, so this is the three such special situation in which the oxygen cylinder has been used. The atmospheric oxygen is not sufficient for the person, student. The first one, if a patient is there, he or she is having breathing problem like that of the asthma, or he undergoing to that of a major operation. At that time he or she may face a breathing problem. So in such conditions, the hospitals, they used to they consist of a lot of oxygen gas cylinder, and at that time this oxygen is used up on that of the patient who is having a breathing problem. The second one is the mountaineer, students. So you know that in case of the mountaineers, when they climb mountain, when they go to a higher altitude, as they move upwards, student, you know that the level of the air, the amount of the air, it goes on decreasing with the higher altitude. And since the amount of the air is less, so obviously the amount of the oxygen will be less. Okay, so the mountaineer will not get sufficient amount of oxygen to breathe. And for this purpose, they used to carry an oxygen cylinder with them. Finally, the divers which go deep into the sea water. So, as they go deep inside the sea water, there also the amount of oxygen is comparatively less, students, and thus the diver is not able to breathe. Okay, and dissolved oxygen, it cannot be used by the diver. Thus, diver also need a oxygen cylinder. They used to carry the oxygen cylinder so that they can breathe properly. So these are the special situations in which there is a need of the oxygen cylinder. Now we will study the another property of the oxygen. Now we will see the oxygen is necessary for burning or combustion. Burning or combustion. Combustion is the process of burning of a substance is called combustion. Okay, so the process of burning of a substance is known as combustion, student. So if you see here, student, that air is a very big supporter, or air is a good supporter of that of the combustion. Okay, means it is the air which help in the burning. But when we talk about the fresh air, student, or continuous supply of the air, here we are talking about the oxygen. So we can say that oxygen help in the process of burning. Basically what happened, a substance which is burning, oxygen is used up by that particular substance for the burning. Okay, so we can say that oxygen is used up for burning. Okay, so it is used up for burning, or we can say that it is necessary. So for burning of any of the substance, continuous supply of the fresh air is important. If a continuous supply of fresh air is not there, it means a proper amount of oxygen, because they use the oxygen for burning. So if a continuous supply of air will be not there, it means continuous supply of oxygen will be not there, student. And because of that, we can say that the burning will get stopped. Okay, so for the continuous burning of a substance, oxygen must be there. Okay, so oxygen is used for burning. So a substance which is burning need a fresh air always for burning. Okay, so on the basis of this, an activity is also given in your book, students, in which we will see that how air help in the burning or help in the combustion. So combustion is what? The process of burning of the substance is combustion, student, and it is the air. We can say air is the supporter of the burning, and in air we are simply talking about the oxygen which help in burning, which is used up by that of the burning substance. Okay. So now in this activity, student, we will try to understand that how oxygen or air is necessary for the burning of anything. Okay, so here for this activity, student, we have taken a candle and a matchstick so that we can burn the candle, as well as we have used another thing, and that is a glass jar. Okay, so at first what we will do, student, we will burn this candle. Okay, so we are showing that how burning is how oxygen help in burning burning of any of the object or burning of the thing. So you see here, student, this candle, when you burn it, it will start. When you burn it, then what will happen? It will start burning with the flame. And here you can see that why it is not getting stop burning, or why it is not being extinguished, students. It is because it is taking the fresh air which is present around it, which is present in the surrounding, and that fresh air, especially we are talking about the oxygen. So the oxygen which is in a good amount present around this candle, continuous supply of the oxygen help the candle to keep burning. Okay, so what does it mean? That the oxygen, it is the oxygen which is present in the air, help this candle to burn properly, burn continuously. Okay, so here just because the fresh air is there, then it is continuously burning. Now, if suppose, student, we will cut the fresh air from this burning candle, okay, then we will get confirmation that it is because of the fresh air this candle is burning. Okay, what I want to say, student, I want to say that this candle is burning. I am saying that it is because of the fresh air. But you will arise a question that how is it possible? How can you say so that the fresh air or the oxygen is responsible for the burning of this candle? So what we will do, as if we cut the fresh air from this burning candle, if it will be away from that of the fresh air, this burning candle, then if suppose it will continue to burn, then we can say that there is no impact of the fresh or on this burning candle. But if suppose it will get extinguished, then we can say that yes, this burning candle is burning just because of the presence of the fresh air around it. Okay, so for that, if we want to cut it, what we will do, we will use this glass jar and we will cover this candle with the glass jar so that fresh air will not going to enter in this glass jar. So we will going to cover this burning candle in the glass jar, students. What you will observe, student, that it will slowly stop burning and finally you can see that it will get extinguished. So the question arises that why is it so? It is because I told you that the fresh air which is present around it, the oxygen, sufficient amount of oxygen which was present around that of the burning candle, responsible for the continuous burn or for the combustion. Okay, but here what happened when we keep the glass jar? At first we have taken that it doesn't stop burning instantly, but it takes a very short period of a time to be extinguished. Why is this so, student? It is because the air, at first that candle uses the air which is present inside this glass jar. Okay, and afterward, then as it uses all the fresh air, as it uses all the oxygen in burning this candle, so all the oxygen is used up. And now when there is no oxygen present in the glass jar, when there is no fresh air is present, because all has been used up by that of the candle itself. Okay, so if there is no fresh air, if there is no sufficient amount of oxygen present, then it will get extinguished. Okay, so it takes a time to get distinguished because at first it uses the oxygen which is present inside this glass jar. And later on, when all the oxygen is used up, it becomes extinguished. So by this activity, student, it is proof that air is responsible, oxygen is responsible for burning of the thing. Okay, so for burning of this candle, fresh air or oxygen which is present in the air is responsible for the combustion. Okay, so for burning, or we can say oxygen, it supports burning. Okay, although it does not initiate, but it help in burning of the thing. So by this activity, student, we come to the conclusion, and that is air is necessary for burning of the thing. Okay, so for the burning substance, air is a good supporter. It supports the burning. Okay, and it is the oxygen which is present in the fresh air which is responsible, which is used for the burning. So we can say that oxygen, continuous supply of oxygen is necessary for that of the burning substance. And if the sufficient amount of oxygen, or if the proper supply of the oxygen is not given to that of the burning substance, then what will happen? It will stop burning. So by this we can say that how air is necessary, or how air it plays important role in burning of a substance, or how it is